Hey everybody, welcome to Bonsai and Beer. We've got a lot to get into today. We're going to try and decode the new language that's used to describe IPA flavors. We're going to repot a master's bonsai, and I'm going to show you practical implementation of the ground cover that I covered in my first video, ground cover that can survive Texas heat. Okay, let's go. So last week I talked a little bit of trash about how you can get all these different IPAs and you don't know exactly what it means. Juicy IPA, hazy IPA, there's double IPAs, I've just seen all these kind of descriptions. I mean, IPA originally stood for India Pale Ale, but now I think it just stands for what customers will buy off the shelf that's craft beer. It's just shorthand for the beer that people will buy. This one's called Juicy. I've seen several of them called Juicy. So let's take a sip. This is the Squirt Gun from Real Ale Brewing Company. They're up in Blanco. Usually pretty good. Let's watch my reaction here. Okay, it does literally taste juicy. Like they have augmented the hop flavors. Certain hops have flavors like grapefruit, cherry, things like that you can get out of the actual hop itself, which is a very oily flower that is used in beer. Seems like they've augmented those flavors and made those come out. This is an American yeast, which I also find is really funny because it's supposed to be an India Pale Ale, which started in England to be shipped to India, but they're using an American yeast, but that's fine. It's definitely on the malty side. They might have some kind of baked malt in there that they're using for flavor. You can see, even when I wipe it off here, it's a cloudy color. So this might be unfiltered, or it just might have, you know, one of the baked malts or crystallized malts in it. But this is tasty. This is not bitter like IPAs were years and years ago. I think the bitter ales, they're shuffling to the pale ales. So we're not seeing that just pure bitterness like we did a few years ago. There's all these different kinds of IPAs now. And Juicy, I mean, it literally tastes like juice beer, and that might sound weird, but it's not a bad thing. Okay, so here it is. This is a bonsai created by the bonsai master Maria over at Rainbow Gardens. She uses this thorny olive, this variegated Eleagnus, and she put it in just a normal terracotta pot. This rock pattern at the bottom, this angle, was her sort of landscaping that she did. She has the stringy stone crop that's in there. She cuts the bonsai so that it reaches out and hugs you when you look at it from the front view. I tried to maintain her angle that she put here. I've replaced some of the rocks because she uses, you know, things that she finds. This is the pot I'm gonna put it in. She keeps everything inexpensive so that it'll make money for the nursery, but her artistry is just excellent, excellent. So here we have it ready for the repot. I'm getting the pot down. You have to get this thing out. You can see that it's a little bit tall for this flat bonsai pot. That's what I was trying to show there. So I gotta sort of suss it out. You can see the beautiful variegation on the leaves there. And then I'm going to cut this with a saw in a moment. I'll place it in the pot here, and you can see, look, it's just too tall. So it's not gonna fit. So I'm gonna have to cut that thing down to size, and then what we'll do is we'll put it back in the pot and we'll try and maintain the artist's original angle and landscaping in this new pot. So now I've got it at the right size, and this is where you wanna find the direction you want it to be in. The guides say that in a lotus style pot, the stem should be coming straight out of the middle. I noticed that it was a little off, so I shimmed it up with a lava rock there and made that initial thrust of the trunk level from all sides. So here you can see it's in the pot the direction that I want. I was able to save that stringy stone crop over there on the right, that little tiny companion plant. And now I've got to fill up the rest of this pot with some soil that I have prepared. I'm using a lot of rock and shale and sand, and so that means you've got to put a little grid down to keep that stuff from coming out. Here's my bonsai soil, which is fertilizer, like I said, rock, sand. There's a little bit of perlite in there. There's some bark and stuff like that in there, just, you know, to keep it airy and so that it'll drain well. And when you put soil in these bonsai pots, you want to pack it down around the edges, okay? And you can see I've made like a curve there so the water will shed off the middle. It won't pool in the middle, and I pack the edges down. I didn't wire this bonsai. It's big enough that I think it's going to stay in the pot as long as I pack it down. And here I am. The indentations were still in the dirt from where the rocks were, so I'm just replacing them and maintaining that angle that the master artist had created. And you can see it's recreating this landscape that she had already set up. So now I'm going to use some of that ground cover that I told you guys about in my first video. This is that Japanese magus. I can't remember exactly what it's called. Japanese magus? That sounds like a magician. Anyways, I chose to take the big clump of it, and I'm going to put that right in the corner. We're going to bonsai this here and cut that, cut those roots off. Japanese mazis, that's it, I remembered. Japanese mazis is the name of this little ground covering plant. So now we're creating a little environment, a little landscape in this bonsai pot. It'll be something nice there in the corner. I love how the flowers cascade over the side. I think the flowers are really good for bonsai because they're small, but there's a lot going on in that flower. It's purple with a white breast and little yellow dots. So I clean up here the parts that have already flowered and they're going to seed. If you keep cutting off the dead flowers that are going to seed, it will continue to flower and continue to grow. So now we've got these three different spots here. We've got where the little garden is growing, we've got the middle part, and then on the other side of that rock separation, we've got this third little sort of triangle in the corner. And so I'm going to accentuate that by putting down some red shale, red and gray shale bonsai soil, and sussing it out of the stringy stone crop there. So now we have those three areas, and I wanted to put lava rock in the middle there because it's this black, dark rock. I'm spray some antifungal on there because you don't want any fungus hurting anything. And then I tried to kind of pick the coolest looking ones and arrange them so that the really porous parts were facing up. I had one red one that I put in the middle of the flowers, and I just cover this whole middle to give the ah, as they would call it in Hawaii. It's the lava that when you walk on it, it makes you go ah, because it hurts your feet. So I wanted a little field of ah there in the middle. Spray it all down, and here is the final product. You can see we have this side here separated by the rocks in the angle that Maria set. So I kept that angle in all of the landscaping that I did. The beautiful flowers cascading off the side, and that lava rock creating that dark middle void. It's just, man, I love this thing now that I've repotted it. Thank you everybody for watching. Keep tuning in to Bonsai and Beer. I am Brandomical, and I'm very happy that you joined me this week.